Somebody's gonna make it happen.
Welcome, and thank you for dropping by. If this is your first time joining us, on Weird Awakenings we discuss anomalous phenomena. The strange, the curious, the extraordinary, the bizarre. Throw in the occasional conspiracy theory, and you get us. Cecil, Hadley, Stephen, Tully, and myself, Morgana. Just a few of the weird kids. Weird Awakenings is a part of the Weird Realities Network. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our channels. We can be found at linktree/Weird Realities. That's weird with a Y. Okay, gang, grab those tinfoil hats and let's get weird.
Well, hey everybody, it's Hadley and Morgana is not on tonight. So, hey guys.
We get the queen bee instead.
Biatch.
How's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm doing swimmingly, sir.
It rained the other night and life has been better since.
It has been.
And we are in the middle of a extreme drought, is how the weatherman put it. So
I've got a serious beef with the rain right now. I thought I was done mowing for the year.
No, dude.
No.
It's too early for that.
I put it on 0 and scalped the earth. So I don't know.
There's our friend Joe.
Hey Joe.
There. Hey Joe.
Hey
Joe. Hello. How are you, gentlemen and lady?
Good. I'm so glad that you're with us.
Ladies, sir.
Yeah, it sounded like fun. So what the hell?
Well, Morgana's not here, so we're probably going to be off the rails.
Hadley said that you were smart and funny, and I told Cecil that he's 50% of that. Which 50% you think it is?
Smart.
Well, I'm old and I just got off the boat, so if I fall asleep, just cut me out.
No, we don't do stuff like that.
We'll be.
You won't be able to draw on my face because you guys are like 1,000 miles away.
You'd be surprised. I'm pretty good at technology.
There you go. Hack into my 3D printer and put me in a cage.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
So we're live. We're going right now. So I shouldn't swear or prove that I'm wearing pants or anything like that.
There's like one of those little squiggly marks next to that statement. Like,
I don't think any of us wear pants, though. You ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah, pants are not.
Oh, what's that? What's that?
They're optional.
What's that? Oh
See.
So tonight we're going to talk about the tribes. What is that?
We're talking about uncontacted people and tribes.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this was interesting because I recently saw a YouTube video about one of the Rockefellers who went and visited a tribe in New Guinea and went missing.
I think that it's went to invade is a better.
They probably had some kind of medicine that they wanted to get rid of.
Well, no, this was the son, and he liked art, and he was traveling with friends, and apparently, like years later, the tribal elders admitted that they might have eaten him.
Because cannibalism was rampant over there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wasn't there a tribe just recently that a documentary filmmaker insisted to go do a documentary of him, even though he was warned, and he went there and he was killed?
That was the Sinhalese, if
right?
That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. And that was a year ago, maybe,
not too long ago.
No. And I say, good riddance. You're warned. You're told to stay away. People, they want to be left alone, and I say, if you can't heed the warnings,
it's kind of similar.
You get what you pay for in life.
If you have
Lando
animals that are raised outside, like I don't want to say stray animals, but just wild animals. Not comparing people to animals, but just some behaviors. So there was a priest that went to this island, the same island where they killed that guy,
New Guinea.
and the priest would take gifts, and for the first few couple times they would just literally throw the gifts and start trying to shoot him with bows. But then the more he did that, I guess the more they warmed up to him, and that's how they got the first even footage.
Yeah,
Right.
Is they accepted this priest.
there he is.
Hey,
How you
Hey,
doing?
Rich.
It's a full house tonight. Morgana's going to be jealous.
It was Michael Rockefeller, and he it happened in New Guinea.
Hey, Carrie.
Tells of cannibal colonialism and Michael Rockefeller's tragic quest for primitive. I can't fucking read.
All that coffee you drink.
that's the 50% smarts.
I'm gonna just post this in the chat. One of you guys can read the title of the book if anybody wants to look at it.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's there have been several tribes in the Amazon that have been found as well. You know.
Savage Harvest, a tale of cannibals, colonialism, and Michael Rockefeller's tragic quest for primitive art.
Colonialism, that's like manifest destiny, right?
yeah.
So I guess I just came here to laugh because I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. So we're talking
I
about.
guess in reality, you could pin any guy to the wall and call him art. Right?
Very good point.
We're talking about lost tribes, or the uncontacted tribes, and I mentioned that Michael Rockefeller had gone on like an art trip around the world or whatever with his friends, and they went to New Guinea, and they went and visited this tribe, and apparently he disappeared. It was something to do with like a boat that sank, and he swam to shore to get help, but he was never found again. And that the tribal elders later admitted, like 50 years later, that they had eaten him.
What was that movie? The green something.
Oh yeah, Green Inferno.
Yeah,
that was
reminds me of.
very, very uncomfortable movie.
If you live on an island and all you eat is fish and whatever you forage, I could see where a little long pork would look good to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they probably had
something.
never.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to make a comment that they probably had never seen a white person. Like that would probably be odd. Like if you know what I mean? Like if they'd never been contacted and all, only are you contacted for the first time, but it's like this person who's that you didn't even know the skin color existed.
So the race is, I got to eat that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in 2011, there was a documentary called "The Search for Michael Rockefeller" that came out, and it is currently on Tubi if anybody wants to watch it. But it discusses the 1961 disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
But I had read a account about, and this was talking about cannibalism in New Guinea, because the New Guinea people and the Aborigines, their DNA is different than ours.
I've heard that.
It was in National Geographic. There's a study that their DNA sequence is different than ours.
That plays into our too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Are they like a pygmy?
No.
Is that racist now? Can you say pygmy now?
No, it's a tribe. You can say it.
I don't know. I'm old. I can get away with this shit.
Yeah. I wonder where the practice of cannibalism actually formed from. Like wasn't like a thing where people thought that if they consumed their enemies that they would gain their power or something.
Yeah. That was part of the lore there in Papua New Guinea.
But that probably came out of desperation
Right.
Like, I mean, truth be told, there's probably a scenario of desperation, and then
Yeah.
the legend grew out of that.
Yeah.
Well,
Donner's Pass comes to mind in America.
Well, one of the things that I read about the cannibal people was that they would only eat certain folks. Like you had to die a certain way because if you were ill, they didn't want to take that illness into their body. So it would have to the person who they ate had to die a certain way, not like ritual sacrifice, but more like a natural death. Like it couldn't be like a prolonged illness or anything.
Wasn't there something about human meat that makes our brains like demented if we were to eat?
Right.
I just heard
it's too much. I heard it was too much protein. Your body overdoses on protein and gives you the shakes, and
Yeah.
can't you dilute it with like
I mean,
carrots?
that's been my experience with
Like,
it.
do you remember like the Book of Eli? Whenever, like, that was the tell for the cannibals is the shakes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the what was it called? Kuru or something?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
That sounds
Yeah.
right to me.
Yeah.
Do you know that after the I think it was a tsunami in Japan, they wouldn't eat fish locally caught for over a year because they figured those fish had eaten so many human bodies.
I didn't know that.
So they imported everything for over a year after that.
I
Big
thought that was.
tsunami.
I thought that was because of Fukushima.
Was it Fukushima? It was
don't-
something like that.
Well, if that's the case, they shouldn't be eating them now either.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat them now.
They just
Well, there was
started.
a tsunami that did Fukushima,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the radioactive water went into the.
That would be a part of it. but-
Listen, they just started dumping that water too back into the ocean, and they're like, "It's not a big deal.
I've got a question about that.
It's not a big deal."
I got a question about that for a local scientist. What do you think about that, Rich?
Not dumping radioactive water into the ocean?
Yeah, do you think if I swim around in it, I'll grow like an extra head?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
And
That's how Godzilla got started, isn't it?
No, actually, you're talking about uranium rod waste versus atomic energy. There's a big difference there. The waste is radioactive. The atomic energy is a completely different thing.
this is a hypothetical question for you, Rich, but if there ever was a crawfish, could you tell the story?
So yeah, it's not that cool. I do a lot of sampling from places from around the world, and we got a sample that had been frozen for 3 months, like in a freezer at -40, and the sample was in a jar about this big. Sample out, they centrifuged it at about 4,000 RPM, and when they were done, they had a very dizzy crayfish swimming around in it. So it was really weird that the thing stayed alive, after being frozen like that. And then, I mean, that centrifuge basically at 5,000 RPM. At 5,000 RPM, it's no way this thing should have been alive, and it was alive, but it didn't live overnight. It passed away.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I've seen some.
Was it alive like actual mind activity or
It
just
was kicking around, moving? It looked like it was trying to eat whatever was in the sediment, but the sediment was now hard packed because it had been centrifuged for 10 minutes at 5,000 RPM.
Well,
yeah,
I think the centrifuge is more.
Maybe you should have fed it, you asshole.
Supposed to get caught.
I'm kidding, Rich. You know I love you.
I love you, baby. You know
that. I mean, it's probably normal for crawdads to be frozen like during the winter and stuff, so that doesn't surprise me. But the centrifuge, because you see those videos of like crawdads and snapping turtles frozen solid in ice.
Right. Yeah, frogs do the same thing.
Frogs, they have antifreeze for blood, basically. But to survive that centrifuge for that long at that speed, that is, they should have put an S on him. He was a super crawfish. So it was insane.
Yeah.
I think he deserves a comic strip.
Should.
What doesn't though?
So,
Circling back
mm.
to the Kuru, you only will get the shakes if let's say a cannibal eats someone with Kuru, and that's what it is. It's sort of it's a misfolded protein called a prion, and you will only get the shakes if you eat somebody that is already infected with it, and that's unfortunately how that works. So you're not going to get the shakes if you eat one of you guys. If I were to eat one of you guys and you're not infected with it, I will not get the shakes.
I'm probably
Right. So it's with that, it would be. I don't know if cannibals cook other humans before they eat them or whatever, but I know with a chronic wasting disease that you'll have in deer and elk populations, you cannot cook that out of the meat.
Yeah,
That's what I've been told.
Yeah, I mean, look at mad cow. It's the same thing. I mean, you can't eat that flesh either. So.
Well, I'd make damn sure if you guys ate me, I'd make damn sure you got some bad heartburn. I'd be pissed.
So, when it comes to like uncontacted peoples, what do you think would make them aggressive toward people they've never seen? Because wouldn't they recognize them as other people?
Yeah, but you have to think about where they are. If
Right.
the small group of people who comes across another small group of people, or worse, that group of people comes into their group, you're either going to have violence or no violence. Mm-hmm. So if they're trying to protect their families and they think that the new group is a threat, that's it.
Well, I'm sure if they're seeing white people for the first time ever, and we have technology that would make us look like gods to them. It'd be like if the characters from Prometheus just showed up one day, and it's like Uncanny Valley almost.
Yeah.
You said something there that is something I've thought about in the past, and that is you said that you would run into these prehistoric people, which basically they are, for lack of a better term, and they would see your technology and they would think of you as gods. Well, or they wouldn't know what your technology is. They would think it's a square rock. So they wouldn't think of you as
unless
gods.
You start trying to show them stuff. You know what I mean? Which I'm
look,
sure
these I have these little people trapped in this little flat thing that I call people on that can talk.
And if you mess around, that could be you.
Right.
No, I mean, and also you get into
it's like that Rick and Morty episode.
Well, I mean, if you're showing someone something like that, they're going to think that's witchcraft.
Oh yeah,
like the boomstick.
Yes.
Well, Quetzalcoatl, wasn't he considered to be a god?
Yeah. I guess it just depends on the people themselves. I mean, they might think it's witchcraft, or they might think it's benevolently godly. Either way, or they could just say, "What's that? I want one." I mean, there's that too. It just depends on. Depends on their level of violence.
Did you guys ever see The Gods Must Be Crazy?
Yeah, we did actually. About the bottle.
That's a perfect example of it. Where the Coke bottle falls out into this pygmy tribe way back, or no, they were Aborigines, I think, way back in the bush, and this Coke bottle is so useful, everybody wants to use it, and pretty soon they're hitting each other over the head with it. And
so
guy has to take it to civilization to return it because their tribe is just not ready for something.
All right.
Well, everybody's focused on New Guinea, but what about the tribes in Brazil or
I was going to throw that out there next.
That's where I would like to go, because I would like to pose a question on this. As far as those tribes existing there, we know from modern technology such as LiDAR that there are a lot of temples and things like that have been covered up by the vegetation down there. And are those the remnants of a once thriving civilization?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to have that level of architecture and construction with a tribe of 20 people. I mean, that's thousands of people, many years to do. And whether
Right.
they're volunteers or slaves, it doesn't matter. It's still taking a lot.
Doesn't that go back to the
small and they're intricate and they have tunnels and caves and there's one on top of another on top of another. It's insane.
Doesn't that go into the Cortez mystery too? Like when he came back, like he was talking about all these like streets of gold and millions of people and all this beautiful architecture, and then he comes back and it's just all gone. And they said that they died of the flu.
Well,
that Cortez brought them.
Yeah.
Well, the thing too about the Amazon, which is weird, the soil composition seems like it was created. Like there's a layer that seems as though they had some kind of advanced composting and they've just spread it across everywhere because it's there. I read a theory that before they did that thing, like certain like crops wouldn't grow there, and they had that events whatever to where they could create that soil and pack it around the whole Amazon, and that's why it overgrew in 100 years. Because from the first time somebody went there, they said there was a continent full of millions of people, and then when they came back and all these beautiful structures, and when they came back, it was just trees in like 100 years. So they thought everybody was lying. But very recently, like what Stephen was saying, they've discovered they wasn't lying. There's massive architecture everywhere in the Amazon.
Well, there was similar to what, or in the tune of what Joe was saying a minute ago, there was also a tribe in South America that they had gotten a hold of, I think it was a T-shirt or a flag with some sort of pop culture symbol. I can't remember whether it was like a movie.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
But whatever it was, they had attributed this figure to be like not a god, but like a symbol of luck or something. And they had like made this a part of their tribal sort of schema. And then whenever they got made contact with, they, told them what it actually was. And now this tribe, because of that, is completely like us. Like they have technology now. Like they use computers. They have all of the stuff, and they went from completely untouched to civilized, like jacked into the matrix in like 20 years,
like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Well, back to the Brazil thing. If they're in Brazil, they've been exposed to modern society. My cousin was down there for 3 different times teaching farmers about modern agriculture and GMO products, which they do use. I know you're told that they don't, but they do. And they cleared so much rainforest down there, it can actually outproduce the United States in soybean, wheat, and corn in any given year. I mean, that's how much land they've cleared. And if they're clearing that much jungle, these indigenous tribes, they've been in contact.
And well, there's a race of something down there. We covered it not too long ago. That's attacking Peru, like people in Peru too.
Yeah.
They call it aliens, but I think it's just an ancient race of people that's been in the jungle this whole time.
I don't think it's aliens one bit.
I don't either. Maybe.
Why? What would make people think they're aliens?
Oh, because they were hovering over water.
Nobody's seen them.
Yeah, they're hovering over water with glowing eyes.
and they're attacking people's throats, I think, specifically.
And you can only get there by a 5-hour boat ride.
That sounds like a early description from like the 1970s of the chupacabra in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
To me, I threw it out there. Doesn't it sound like what they were experiencing in Vietnam during the war too? Like those spirits that people.
The rock apes.
Rock apes were part of it in Vietnam,
or what they called spirits. You know what I mean? Like
there have been some strange stories come out of Afghanistan. About some of the military people seeing like ghostly figures, through night vision. Yeah. However that works.
Well, they had to get rid of the. It was Vietnam where they had the red night vision, and so many of their helicopter pilots started opening fire on nothing, and they were claiming to see like spectral demons, and they got rid of the red night vision after that.
Yeah,
You can still buy glasses coated in the stuff. I forget what it's called, but now it's used as a paranormal tool.
Yeah, Starlight. I think the Starlight scopes were what they used in Vietnam for some of the snipers anyway. I think that's what they were.
Starlight's green. It amplifies the ambient light that's there and everything.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, so smart.
I'm sure I could look it up.
Well, I think it's interesting that so much of what we talk about goes to Africa and Europe when we talk about paranormal stuff, but there's so much more down in South America. You've got the crystal skulls. That's where they originated from. You've got a lot of just a lot of mystery down there that we don't really know about.
I mean, that's kind of a south of the equator thing as a whole. I mean, even New Zealand and Australia, which have a lot of white people, they have their spiritual things a lot stronger than we do up here in the northern hemisphere. But the Koreans and the Asians, they have their own special thing too. So it seems to me that there's a stronger spiritual force in the warmer climate, which makes sense. I mean, obviously they've transcended to a higher level, so they're smart enough to get out of the snow and ice. But my opinion,
Machu Picchu is one of the places that totally fascinates me, and I think that Rich has actually been there.
Yes, I have.
So tell us.
Not much to tell. I went with a group of 2 friends, and we climbed up there and we played around for a day and a half. Maybe we went up there for a day and then came back and then went up there for another half a day. Explored, looked around. There was nothing off limits at the time. I don't know if there is now, but I mean, I saw some cool drawings. I saw great architecture, but I mean, you're walking through ruins that tens of thousands of people have walked through. So you can see there's litter there. There's like litter from current times. They pick it up. They're pretty good about it. But I saw cigarettes, that type of thing, cigarette butts. It's really disgusting that what people would do there. But,
that explains what I seen on the documentary about it. I seen something that said Rich was here.
Yeah, well, that wasn't that was the weird thing. No, I mean,
right next to the phallic symbol. I saw that.
Tattoo. So that was cool. Pripyat was better, much better. You'd much. I mean, that's not what you would call a tribal thing, but Machu Picchu was great. It's really beautiful, and you're up super high.
Are you saying you've been to Chernobyl?
No, I've been to Pripyat. Nobody knows Chernobyl.
Dude, if you're, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that was different because that was a tour guide driven thing, and they shut that down a few years after I went. They shut that particular tour down. There was a lot of places we could not go when we went there, but I did get to go to the milk factory, and I did get to go to the. There was a school and there was a hospital that we got to go through the whole thing. The buildings were safe, so I don't know how safe they are now, but back then it was great. I have a million pictures someplace, but this was back before we had digital cameras and phones. So it's in an album someplace that I would have to find. It's probably in the attic of my parents' house, actually.
Did you have one of those cameras where you had to replace the bulb every time you took a picture?
No, but they did have people that were there at that time with those cameras. I had a little Pentax camera. It's actually hanging up on the back of my door, my bedroom door.
Okay. Well, Rich, while you were over there in that part of the world, did you try the fermented horse milk?
No, I didn't. No, and it wasn't because I wasn't, I didn't want to try it or anything. I didn't know about it.
Ah, okay.
But
I don't know about fermented horse milk. What's that?
I don't know.
It's a delicacy in that part of the world.
No, I didn't even hear about it while I was there. I have had pizza.
I'm a strong believer in doing as the natives do when you go somewhere.
Yeah, I would definitely try it.
Not me. I'm a chicken nuggies and French fries type of person.
Hey, Alan,
Speaking of which, that we had I'm not gonna throw the person under the bus, but we had a guest. I was making, you know what chicken lollipops are, like where you cut the legs and you smoke them.
Yeah,
they're a pain in the ass to make. I'll never do it again. But I was doing it, and one of the people was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Like they just kept being like, "Oh my God, like what are you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, this is what chicken nuggets come from." And they were like, "Oh my God."
Too bad you didn't have a live rooster and tell them that's where they came from.
Yeah, it's not like I was bleeding out chickens to make them. I was just trying to cut the skin off.
Have you actually seen how they process chicken nuggets?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Don't
They
want
do.
it.
They
You'll
blend
never
it
know.
up and all kinds of stuff.
My favorite is deli meat. Like how it's literally like this big vat full of.
Come on, we're talking about tribal people. I've got some turkey meat in there. I don't want to hear this.
Tully is going to give us the history.
If they are living secluded on an island and everybody leaves them alone, they would have to manage the game on that island pretty closely in order, unless they had actual farming and animal raising techniques. But if they were just living off game, they would have to do their animal husbandry pretty tightly on an island in order to sustain for years on end.
Yeah,
really
I think island life would they would get their meat from the sea.
Yeah, most of it. Yeah,
that makes sense. Like the Mediterranean.
I don't know. It seems every island you go to, there's pigs.
Oh yeah, they're all over the place. Chingali in Sardinia, they hunt them all the time. I guess now it's against the law. They used to hunt them all the time. They're nuisance animals.
In my mind, whenever I knew that like we would kind of hit a wall where we talked about a lot of the normal stuff, and I'm going to take us into the ditch for a minute. So a lot of it, like ancient depictions, they have like, we'll call it alternate human categories or like subhuman categories or human hybrid categories. One of which there was a group of people at one point throughout history called the Cenocephali.
Yeah.
The dog-headed humans, which allegedly existed, the most famous of which is a Catholic saint named Saint Christopher. Mm-hmm. And if you pull up depictions of Saint Christopher, you will find a dog, I say dog, like a wolf-human hybrid, almost like a werewolf. Or like a dog man. Yeah, sort of like Anubis.
It would be similar. It's the tales of lycanthropy have been around for thousands of years.
But that wasn't the only thing at the time that was like a subhuman category. There's a ton of these different subhumans or like human hybrids throughout history. There were a group of I have to keep like popping over to remember this name. There were a group of headless men that allegedly existed at one point called the Blemmies, and their face was actually on their torso.
What?
Yeah, very strange looking.
I need to see a picture. You have one?
Yeah.
I need another edible.
I know, right? Who's holding out?
This is how.
This picture of St. Christopher is actually kind of tricky.
I don't know how he's gone off to. Oh my goodness, that's not.
So
it's like a chin person.
You've got
looks legit.
St. Christopher.
Well, he just looks unfortunate.
But yeah, I think a lot of that, it's like like a German Shepherd,
like my little puppy.
But it's not just dogs. Like there were cats. There cat human hybrids. I mean, like when you start digging into the stuff, it sounds like Middle Earth almost.
Yeah.
Well, the dog hybrids is like in tune with like Egyptian lore, like dogs and cats and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what this has to do with undocumented tribes.
because they're beyond the ice wall.
Yeah, that's actually what I was getting at. Like when you think about the lands beyond, there are supposed to be these tribes of these subcategories of like,
Just he said he was taking us into the gutter for a bit. Then
yeah.
I was thinking like fishnet stockings and leg
okay.
lamps.
He tell you swerved far enough into my lane. To a lot of people who have the same hobby that I have, with the cryptids and things like that. Well, as far as everybody knows, a clan of Bigfoot, they're an undocumented tribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
And to me, that goes back to the whole Aboriginal and Papua New Guinea DNA question.
Yeah, the ghost DNA that's there, and it's also in the Aborigines in Australia.
We were all secluded tribes at one time or other, and we all crossbred. I mean, white people have a lot of Neanderthal DNA. A lot of white
Neanderthal,
people.
yeah.
Asians have a lot of Denisovian,
Yeah, Denisovian as well. Yes.
So,
I'm curious, how many of you know your blood type, and what are you?
I'm O positive. I found out not long ago.
So that means you're a universal donor, correct?
I don't know what it means. I got a free Walmart gift card when I gave blood, and
Joe, what's your blood type?
I'm either O positive or O negative. I don't know which. My sister is the opposite of me, and she's a universal donor.
She's O
negative.
So I'm a negative, and a positive is a universal donor, or either that, or I'm a positive and a negative.
I think the O negative is actually the universal.
Yeah, blood. I think so too.
Because
I'm
the negative.
Positive.
Yeah,
and if they didn't mention it to Cecil that he was a universal donor, then when he tested as O positive, then it's O negative, because they tell you right away. They find out where you are, and
I think O positive is just like the most popular blood type.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Rich,
AB negative.
That's the rarest, isn't it?
I don't know.
That's rare.
I know it's
not yourself,
the rarest.
I know. Tell me, what did you say yours was?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Mine is A negative.
A negative.
You can get a test Tully. You can get it from Walmart. It's like $10.
I think Tully's is Tully.
I'm just kidding. I've just never even thought about it really. Like, I mean,
you've never given blood before?
No, I definitely would not. But
would not give blood.
Yeah, come to find out, they keep that on record for fucking ever.
Yeah.
I haven't gave blood since I was 18, and they's like, "Are you in our system?" I was like, "I don't think so."
But like, if I was in the hospital, I was like, "Oh, I was in the hospital with a family member, and they're like, we need blood for what XYZ," I'd be like, "Okay."
But you don't want to know your blood type.
Oh, I don't care to. Like, it doesn't matter. I just.
Well, it matters to me. You need to find out.
I'm not going to the blood bus, is what I'm getting at.
What's your blood, Hadley?
I am AB positive. I'm AB positive.
AB positive?
Yeah. You are a universal recipient then. Yep. You can get it from anything. You can get any type.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah. See, I can only get AB.
My dad, I think, was
yeah. You can't even
AB
use
negative
O
or B
negative.
negative.
What was that, Hadley?
I think my dad was AB negative.
Yeah.
Now you can't even use a universal O negative, can you, Rich?
Nope, I can only get AB negative blood.
My mother was a nurse at a blood bank, drew blood all the time, so I picked up some stuff through osmosis. So if you see me in some needles, take a chair. Hold still. Try not to clench up.
That's funny.
Well, the thing about the negative, I mean, we've talked about this before, is you can't be cloned if you're a negative.
Really, though?
Really?
I feel like anybody can be cloned.
I do too.
If I'm telling you, I don't know. The science says.
Oh,
Who believes science anymore?
Rich.
Oh, I did want to say while we were in the gutter, have you guys ever seen proper flat Earth maps before?
Sully, there's no such thing as a proper flat Earth map.
You know what else? You know what else? There's no such thing as is somebody who flips to flat Earth and flips back to a globe once they get into flat Earth. Like nobody ever comes back from that, Rich.
Once they go to the dark side, that's it, huh?
Yeah, because like once you get into like flat Earth and the premise, it just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Now
I
we're
have heard
finding
that.
out. Now we're finding out that they didn't even believe in a flat Earth back in Egyptian times. So
Well, that's what the news is saying. If you
It was
listen to all
Carthage.
these, if you listen to all these pilots talking now about if they believe it's a globe or flat, most of them are saying flat.
So
Yeah.
I'll show
The
you
flat-
two. I'll show you two maps. One is zoomed in to where we allegedly are, and the other one is zoomed out to the known world.
That's where outer space comes from, man. Extraterrestrial from extraterrestrial areas.
Okay.
This is so like I went to dinner with Sherry and she was showing me these maps, totally the same maps.
So this is where we are, and this is the ice wall. If we zoom back
Are
out,
you saying are we in Game of Thrones?
so yeah, so this is quote unquote Antarctica, this circle. And then there's lands beyond that where these other tribes are supposed to be of like human hybrids and
But
such.
okay, so are these dimensions?
You could call it either. Like I think these are interchangeable because this is literally called Odin over here.
Well,
So
I was trying to explain this to the Sentinelese one time, and he told me, that we had spaceships that have actually gone around the globe. So
that's what they say. They're all balloons.
So if you look at flight patterns, like they don't. Well, I don't know. I'm going to let you go down your own rabbit hole if you want to do flat Earth. But so this is very zoomed in, and then this area here is part of this, which are different. Like Hadley said, it would be more like realms, and we are just one circle in this whole schema of realms.
we've gone by many planets that actually were round and spherical. It's only fitting, or it's only
like I said, you won't find
that we are round and
I don't think you'll find anybody who starts down this rabbit hole who ever comes back out of it truly.
Oh, I'm just fascinated at how gravity would work, magnetism.
It just keeps getting deeper.
It makes more sense.
Tides.
It's like, okay, so one of the main arguments that you'll hear from flat Earth people are if there's that the curvature ratios doesn't make any sense because there's a standard on when the Earth should start curving, and they're using a ship out on the open ocean as an example, and the ship gets out of eyesight. Well, originally, cameras would only be able to see that ship for so long. And, the theory was that, okay, it's because the Earth, like they've went far enough to have started curving because of the globe. Well, when we got more powerful cameras, you could just keep zooming in and keep zooming in and keep zooming in. And there was never really any curvature there. And that's just the tip. I'm not going any further into it. If you want to look into flat Earth, look into flat Earth, but beware, you will never recover.
I will recover.
Well, it's either flat or the Earth is a lot bigger than what they say it is.
I at least believe the latter.
Yeah. Well, I've told y'all countless times that the more I've discovered when I've learned about the Norse myth, that's really what I really tie stuff into. I think the Vikings were onto something, but I'm not going to say that the Earth is flat because I don't believe that. But I do believe that there's a lot of dimensions that we don't understand how it all fits together because we've been blinded
Well,
to that part of reality.
On the show, The Inside Job,
I'm not a flat earther though. I
he
believe
says
that everything is fake.
he says that the CIA came up with a flat Earth as a psyop, and that it's actually hollow.
I don't know, y'all, because if Scott
See?
Baker is a CIA agent, I don't know that they would remember that they did.
Yeah, but he says himself. He says himself that he wasn't that kind of CIA agent. You know what I mean?
Now, see with the flat Earth, I always thought that the Carthaginians used it as propaganda to keep the Greeks and Romans from venturing too far out of the Mediterranean. So,
How do you put Coriolis effect?
There's plenty of evidence for hollow Earth, though. Like,
you know, sometimes we just gotta accept the data that's been collected and move on to bigger and better things.
Well, there's people
you don't want to trust the science. Oh my God!
But I will say that there are multi-millionaires who are out there on the internet right now being like, just fly me up and let me see it. And I'll tell the whole world, like people who believe in flat Earth, they're like, I'll pay the money. You fly me up there, let me see it, and I'll tell the whole world that I'm wrong. And I'm talking about exuberant amounts of money they're offering to be able to do this, and it ain't happening.
And they're not letting him, but they're letting Tom Cruise film a movie in space.
It'd be very easy to
What?
Made by a private company.
What about Tom Cruise? You come up with every week. Y'all say something just that totally floors me about a Hollywood actor.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is going to film a movie in what they call space.
You know, I don't. You know,
is-
no offense if any of you are flat earthers, but I feel about flat earthers like I do with the people who deny the Holocaust happening. You know, things like that, and denying that we landed on the moon, and it's just like I just don't.
Do you believe in India? Landing on the moon a couple weeks ago.
I believe in India. I believe it's
real.
real.
And it landing on the moon a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Joe, if you believe that they landed on the moon, then you believe in Santa Claus, dude.
Have you seen
Santa Claus?
I heard about that briefly. Are you saying they didn't land on the moon?
They got actual. I tried to prove that they did. I tried every way in the world to prove that the footage they released was just a joke, and they had other footage. Watch the footage of that.
Yeah, just Google.
That's my weakness. I don't watch TV, so I don't know.
If you Google India moon landing, you'll see like a video that was rendered in Microsoft Paint.
Yeah, 95.
One week, y'all have to promise me that y'all will make tinfoil hats and wear them.
Wow.
Okay, I will wear one again.
Maybe that could be our Halloween costume.
Do you know
that could work?
When they launched the first rocket that went up, the Apollo 7 that went up there, that it hit a certain point in the atmosphere where we didn't have any cameras, and they had animated footage already prepared showing the rocket going up, and that's what we watched back in the 60s. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And they filmed the rest on a set somewhere. More likely. That footage looked a lot more real in the 69 than India landing on the moon.
You don't believe any of
The
it.
Earth is flat, and people there's no outer space. Where did Elon Musk come from?
Well, there's an explanation for that, but I said I'm not talking anymore about flat Earth.
I don't know if we should discuss that openly. It is a family show, right?
No, I think
Elon was adopted. So,
Cecil doesn't even believe that Elon exists.
You know,
It's a lie.
Elon
is a lie. Isn't that right, Cecil?
I could take you to a to the CIA's .gov site and take you to white papers that says that Nikola Tesla was Venusian,
Yeah, from Venus.
and people say that Elon is the same.
Yeah.
He should have, known more about patenting if he was really like an alien species, higher species.
I mean, he did kind of, if you think about,
smoked him on that end of the deal.
like circa 2013, nobody knew who he was, and then he just explodes.
He's from South America or South Africa, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's from here.
No, he's from Venusia, Hadley.
Well, oh yeah, I guess.
Well, he's from, Venusian would be from
I thought men
Venus.
were from Mars and women were from Venus. I'm sorry.
But
I read that book.
Whatever it's talking about that, it's not saying like the planet Venus. It's like a different place.
I just love how you guys are in the same boat where Tully was about 10 years ago when I was talking about this stuff.
Don't put the glasses on, because once you do, you can't take them off. Just like Roddy said.
Yeah. See, what I find funny is that Rich is really understanding now that we're like an unscripted version of the Guardians of the Galaxy here.
Venusia, is that like one of these lost tribes?
We were talking about that.
It's very similar. They call it the lands of Venus, not like the planet, but I'm assuming like the god.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is funny that ancient people were deathly. They were terrified of the planet Mars for some reason.
Red.
Well, I've seen Marvin the Martian.
I like Marvin.
Haven't you ever seen Mars Attacks?
No, like
I saw John Carter of Mars. It's
what was it? The Ghost to Mars. That was the one that was really freaky.
John Carpenter.
when it comes to when it comes to these undiscovered tribes or uncontacted tribes and things of that nature, even if you know there are other planets and stuff, because originally when I was a kid, I thought that Venus used to be just like Earth, and that something happened there to make the atmosphere to where they couldn't live and all this good stuff. I totally remembers me talking about Valiant Thor a decade ago from Venus or whatever, but it's possible that these aliens or whatever you would call them, I fully believe that they could come from within the solar system. There's possible life everywhere.
I think it's more likely that aliens have already always been here.
Yeah.
Just like with the Admiral Byrd stuff, we probably robbed or like
it sounded like
reverse engineered technology.
It sounded like I was going back to the topic, but I trailed off. Sorry about that.
Well, I think the undocumented tribes are very interesting. One of the things that I did read at one point in time was that they brought a South American shaman to America and took him to a mental health facility. And like they took him on a tour.
Wow.
I mean, not like took him there, but that he was seeing people who, you know, with his sight, that they had entities attached to them, not necessarily that they had illness. That there were people who were ill, but there were people who had entities attached to them, and they were associating that as mental illness. So it's very interesting to me that they're a lot more connected than we think. I mean, we like to think that we're so superior, and that's the thing. I mean, I have to say, you know, if you see Americans, or if you see the white man, put him down, because we're going to take your culture and throw it away and try and make you like us.
A lot of people are like, if it doesn't happen in America, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
right.
You know, I mean, it's human arrogance, and we spread that everywhere, especially on animals. That's my book, Sonny, is a lot about human arrogance and how we don't give credit to the animals that are in our world. You know, I mean, dolphins don't have 5 fingers or 10 toes or anything like that, but can you honestly say that we're smarter than they are? I mean, I think they're much better adapted to their environment than we are to ours, you know, and I mean, it's just, but human arrogance won't let us see that. And that's what's the cause of all racism too, is the fact that we are so naturally arrogant about our own self and our own species that we automatically deem that others are less than we are.
Well, for me, Joe, it's labels. We like to put labels on people, but the labels are the very thing that make us feel superior.
Yeah. And some people need to feel that superiority.
Mm-hmm.
In my old age, I've reached a point where I really don't I don't really care enough to.
That's not what you're going to say.
I don't really care enough to spread that arrogance anymore.
I'll say it because he's not going to.
I did in my youth. I did in my youth.
No fucks.
Not anymore. I mean,
speaking of dolphins,
you want.
I do think like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like dolphins are the smartest thing.
Yeah,
they're like weirdly. I mean, there's so much weird stuff about dolphins. We should do an episode on.
We should dolphins and chimpanzees.
Was it 47 or 40? Was it 47 or 42? I can't remember.
42.
It was 42. Okay.
All right.
I don't know.
The answer to life, the universe, and
yeah. Well, you know, I think the reason why they outlawed, there used to be a lot of live births with dolphins, like in tanks, like women would like intentionally do live births. And as they were in labor and about to have birth, the dolphins would start swimming in like this synchronistic pattern. And the kids that were born in this way allegedly had a lot more spiritual kind of weird abilities, you know, like ESP, like
and gills. They had gills.
not gills, but were just more mentally acute. Like that was kind of the draw.
I'm sorry, I've actually heard that too, and it is a cool story. But I don't take anything that seriously.
It could be.
I'm with you.
I want to know somebody who was born with the dolphins. We need to meet. That's what we need to do is do a show on them. We need to
imagine the tattoo.
I was born amongst bush light.
Oh, you were born with crocodiles or alligators.
Yeah.
You were? What?
Yeah.
Cecil was born next to Alligator World or whatever it's called in Florida.
Gatorland.
They got 200 gators down there, don't they?
I got a lot of
Gatorland.
Cecil almost got 8 when he was a kid by one.
I remember he almost got 8 by one, but I didn't know he was birthed by them. I mean, what the heck happened there?
What was the purpose? Did your parents want the option of pitching you over the fence? Or what?
No, it was an accident, much like my conception.
It's like Arlie Ermy and Full Metal Jacket. Did your mom have any children that lived?
I have a sister that was a condom statistic.
Yeah, see, 9 months before Cecil was born, he went to a party with his dad and he left with his mom.
Y'all are so wrong. On that note, I'm going to wrap this up. So, thank you, Lee, Landa, Mike, Alan, and Carrie for showing up tonight. We always appreciate y'all spending your time with us. Rich and Joe, thank you for popping on. You know, it is always a pleasure.
I had a good time.
You're always welcome. We're here every Friday night. Just let us know. And Tully and Cecil and Steven, y'all make my Fridays better. Until next time, y'all stay weird, and we will stay weird with you.
These pasties are chapping my nips.